Hey everyone, welcome back to Toasty TCG. So recently I moved from Dogmatica Eldlich over to Numeron Eldlich. The reason for that is when you go into game 2 and 3, your opponent's going to have stuff like Feather Duster sided, and I didn't want to lose those cards. Because in Dogmatica, if you get hit by Feather Duster, you lose punishment, you can lose things like Ice Dragon Prison, you can lose your Eldlich stuff. I mean, you're forced to pretty much use your Eldlich stuff at that point, or lose them. I just got tired of losing the cards like that, which pretty much rewarded opening lucky. So, by moving over to Numeron, I was able to stop those cards in games 2 and 3, and even if someone's like trying to be really janky and main deck those cards, I'm able to stop them as long as I'm going first. This deck had a lot of success. I won a 3v3 with my friends this weekend. They played Dragon Link and Zulich, and this is the deck that I played, so I just want to go over the list, and maybe you guys might be interested in trying this deck out for yourself. I went over the Eldlich part of this deck numerous times, so I'm not going to be talking too much about that. I'm actually going to be talking mostly about the Numeron stuff. I'm just going to go over the Eldlich part of the deck very briefly, and try to explain to you guys my opinion on the Numeron part of the deck. So, let's start off with the traps here. 3 Sanguine, you don't need White Destiny and you don't need Black Awakening. Sanguine's the best one, summoned from hand and grave. Or summoned from deck and grave. You don't need anything else. 3 Conquistador. 3 Wakero. The reason for 3 Wakero, I know some people like to play 2. In mirror matches, you're able to grind a little more by having that third copy. I think it's just a preference thing. You can play 2, you can play 3, but if you want to have that just one extra card to help you grind through matches, I recommend playing 3 Wakeros. And 3 Ice Dragon Prison. This card's super versatile. You can use this in a lot of different situations, like taking a Misk out of your opponent's grave in Dinosaurs. You can out Dragoons as long as there's a monster in your opponent's graveyard, and you control Spellcaster, or if there's just a Spellcaster in your opponent's graveyard, which is really useful. You can just summon the monster from the grave, and you can actually use it to push for game. There's a lot of application for this card, it's really fantastic. Going into the spell lineup, 3 Numeron Network and 2 Calling. The reason for 2 Calling is you're never going to need the third copy. Everyone plays 2. Some people play 1, but there's definitely not even enough room to play 3 sets of Numerons in your extra deck. So you only need to, you need the first one to get to your Zexal, and then the second one to get to some big powerful extra deck monster. And then you play the 3 Network because you want to see them. 1 Terraforming, this is just one more card to get to your Numeron Network. And it's also for getting to Mystic Mine. I tried this card out, I actually didn't really like it, so I'm probably going to cut it. The one time that I did activate it, it wasn't that great. My opponent was ahead on resources, and the extra turns that Mystic Mine got me, they didn't really change much. I wouldn't play this card any longer. It might be better in a combo-heavy format, that's about it. In a format like right now, where pretty much control is very dominant, this card just doesn't seem that great. I think I'm going to cut it for future builds. Triple Cursed Eldland, not much to be said about this card, it searches out your deck. If they take it off the board, it searches out your deck too. It can get you Golden Lord, then you can Golden Lord effect to send something, then Golden Lord can send Eldland to the grave, summon himself back, getting you both effects. Card's just fantastic. Final spell card, Fin Droplets, another super powerful, versatile card. You can use it in the damage step. You can use it for attack modification, you can use it for effect negation. There's a lot of different ways to use it, and the fact that it's a quick play just makes it all the better. You can pitch your Golden Lands to the grave to get them, their effects in the grave to get your Sanguines. You can pitch your Golden Lord to the grave to get his effects to summon himself back. And the same with Sanguine, where you can pitch it to get your Golden Lands. This card is pretty much like a discard fodder type thing, on top of being a fantastic card. in the final match of the 3v3, I used this in response to a Mechaba to negate that and negate a Winda, and then I Numeron networked, summoning all 4 of the number 1, 2, 3, 4 and OTK'd. This card is so cool, very versatile, very, very powerful. Moving on to monsters, 2 Golden Lord. 3 is too much, 1 isn't enough. At 3, this card can be a little bit bricky. You really just want to see this when you're intentionally searching it off of Eldland, or if you are going to use its effect to discard. If you open like that going second, it's pretty cool. But otherwise, you just want to be searching it off of Eldland sometimes, or summoning it off of Sanguine. At 3, you're going to be seeing it too much, which you don't want to have happen. And like I said, 1 is not enough. Triple Numeron Wall. Some people play 2. I prefer 3 because network is so important to this deck. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the entire point of Numeron Eldlich is to prevent yourself from losing to nonsense cards like Duster, Lightning Storm, and Evenly Matched. So with Numeron Wall, you're pretty much playing 3 more copies of network, getting you there all faster. My hand trap lineup is triple DD Crow, triple Bell, triple Ash. These are pretty much the best hand traps this format, except for DD Crow. DD Crow I would switch out for Skullmeister if I had it, but DD Crow is still a pretty solid hand trap. This whole format is very graveyard based, so these 6 hand traps are really good, and then Ash is just generically good in any control format, which is why we play Ash this format. So that's the whole main deck, 40 cards. Moving on to the extra deck, 2 copies of number 1, 2 copies of number 2, 2 copies of number 3, 1 copy of number 4, and a C1 Numeron Chaos Gate Sonia. Typically, the reason that you play 7 Numerons and not 8 is because you only need 3 material to make Zexal, so the first time that you resolve a calling, you just bring out a 1, 2, and a 3, you overlay them, you make your Zexal. Then later on in the game, you send your second copy of calling, you get all 4, and then you can OTK, you can make a Link 4, you can do a lot of different things. You just want to play that amount of Numerons. The second copy 4 is just unnecessary. And then Sonia is really cool. You have to use number 1 to XD summon him, and when it comes out, it banishes all other monsters on the field, but during your next standby phase, if you control Numeron Network, it returns, and then your opponent takes damage equal to the combined attack of all banished XD monsters. So you get this out, and then let's say you did 1, 2, 3, and 4. You overlaid on top of number 1, so this gets banished, and then 1, 2, 3, and 4, they all get banished. This comes back on your standby phase and burns your opponent for at least 3,000 damage. I actually won a game at the 3v3 by making this. They had no way of taking Numeron Network off my field, and I was so ahead in life that they had no way of killing me through an empty board. So this card just won me a game. It was really powerful when I pulled it off. Other XC monsters, obvious Numeron 0, or number 0, Utopic Zexal. The whole point of the Numeron engine, you make this thing, you sit on it for 2 to 3 turns, preventing your opponent from board wiping you. And by that time, hopefully you're so far ahead that they just can't recover and you kill them. 2 rank 10s, Gustav Max, the big gun, and Zeus. I like to play Zeus because with Zexal, there's points where, once it's down to like 1,000 attack, I usually just swing with it and then slap a Zeus on top. I don't feel like that third turn of Zexal is going to be too impactful. I'd rather make a Zeus where I can board wipe if I need to. So you don't really use the third Zexal. You don't Zexal 3 times. You can like Zexal once, twice, and then you can make a Zeus. I feel like that Zeus is going to have more mileage in the long run over that third time of activating your Zexal. Gustav Max is just the big gun. Your opponent goes under 2,000 life points while you control 2 Golden Lords, and this card just says you win the game. Next up is the BLS Link. This card should be in every single Eldlich variant if you can afford it. No matter what version of Eldlich you're playing, you should be playing this. This card's cracked. If you make it with Golden Lord, it can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. And then all these 3 effects where you destroy something by battle, they'll happen in the damage step, so it can't be responded to by pretty much anything in the game. So you make this, you crack over something, and then you can banish another card on the field during the damage step, so typically they're not even going to be able to respond when you do the effect to banish. Really powerful card. If you're not playing it, you should be. Next up is Mega Clops. This is another option that you can make with the Numeron engine. So you can make your Zexal, and then you can summon 3 more Numerons and make this. Or you can actually make this over Zexal. If you're in a matchup where your opponent's playing a lot of back row, Zexal is really not going to affect that deck, but Mega Clops will because it's unaffected by every monster except XE monsters, can't be destroyed by battle except with the XE monsters, 4,000 attack. So if you make this in match against like a back row heavy deck, you're going to do better than if you make Zexal. It's just an overall good card. It's another card that I made and there was just no out to it and I won against someone. Avermax, this is the only card in the entire deck that I never went for. I even went for that, like I mentioned Mystic Mine earlier. I said like that card didn't feel too good this format. I still went for it and it still bought me a few turns. But there was no point in the entire 3v3 where I needed to summon 4 Numerons and make this. Typically, if I was summoning all 4 Numerons, it was because I wanted to OTK. This card, it absolutely never came up. Link Spider, if you have like Conquistador, Wakero, and nothing to do with them, you can activate them in your opponent's end phase, and then make a Link Spider, just to get the Golden Land the Grave and get your engine going. That's all it's for. It has 1,000 attack, so it can run over like small things like Heavenly Spheres or IP Masquerena. It can run over a 1 negate Appaloosa, just things like that, really tiny things. But that's not like the main point of it. The main point of it is just getting Conquistador and Wakero off your board, get your engine going. Next up for the side deck. So like I said, this deck's entire point is to stop your opponent from beating you with stuff like Lightning Storm or Feather Duster or Evenly. So we play 6 cards to stop that. Double Anti-Spell and an Imperial Order. This is, of course, stopping Feather Duster and Lightning Storm. And then Triple Judgment to stop evenly matched. The problem with other variants is they need to depend on seeing Solemn Judgment to avoid those type of cards, whereas in this deck, you can have your Zexal on top of this. So, if you're going first, you make Zexal, now your opponent's Feather Duster is dead, you can eventually, either you open these, or you can draw into them with the turns that Zexal buys you, and now you have this to deal with those cards, or your opponent had to put cards on the field while you were doing the Zexal lock, so they couldn't Lightning Storm you, they can't evenly match you, their only option is the one of Feather Duster. If they have it, they have it, but you have 6 cards to stop that Feather Duster, on top of your Zexal. Next up, the monsters of the side deck. 3 Drone Lock and Pankratops. Every modern day side deck should just include Pankratops. Card's really good. It breaks through entire boards all on its own, so there's no excuse not to play it. 3 Drone Lock. This is, of course, for Drytron, but it's also good against things like Dogma. It's also good against Invoked. Just any deck that, like draws a lot or will search a lot, this card's good against. But, it's pretty much just for Drytron. But if you come across those decks, you have this card ready to go. Back row, we play 3 Harpy's Feather Duster, Two of them are named Lightning Storm for some reason, though. You don't really need the third Lightning Storm. I played it at 3 and had the Feather Duster in as like 4 back row removals, but you don't really need them. If you can resolve this even one time against a back row deck, you're usually in a really good spot. You don't need to see multiples of them. This card, or these cards, are just very powerful as resolving one time in the game. But there's not a lot of back row heavy decks in the meta right now, so there's no point in overdoing it with back row removal. And finally, 2 Dark Ruler No More. This is pretty much 2 more copies of Forbidden Droplets. This is another card for Drytron, but it's also for like people are still running around with like Dragon Link type of decks, so this is also for them. But mostly for Drytron, because if we go second against Drytron in game 2 or 3, you're already in a really losing spot if you don't open like Drool Unlock or something like that. So this just breaks Herald and Vanity. One card just breaks both of them, and then you do like Golden Lord to send one to the grave, bring back Golden Lord, attack over the other one. You can do Numerons, overlaying to Sonia, then Sonia banishes both of them, something like that. There's a lot of cool ways that this deck can deal with Drytron boards. So guys, that about wraps up the deck list. If you have any questions, suggestions, or anything else, feel free to comment down below. And while you're making your way down to the comments, check out the description. In the description, I have links to all the Toasty TCG media, such as the Facebook page, where you can get updates on when I upload. You can find the Discord if you want to join the Discord. It's growing, so I appreciate anyone that joins. And the TCG Player affiliate link. This just helps the page directly. If you shop TCG Player, you're buying these cards already, and you can also help the channel by buying cards you already planned on buying. If you liked the video, of course make sure to like. I appreciate every like so much, as well as subscriptions. If you want to keep up on Toasty TCG, make sure to subscribe. Every like, every subscription, all of those things help so much. I appreciate all the support that you guys give this channel. But this is going to be Toasty TCG signing out.